Hey guys, and yes, we are back months later with a combat tips part 5. The YouTube channel has come a long way since the last time I posted one. How time flies, huh? Well, sit back, grab your beer, relax, and let's get into it. Tip 81. Switching to your RPG while sniping. While sniping, you can use your sniper scope as an RPG scope. It sounds pretty bizarre when you say it out loud. But if you find that your sniper is one of those ones sniping or shooting from around corners or using obstacles as cover, then there is a way you can solve that. I'm going to do this next part slowly for you guys. First of all, you need to aim your sniper scope at said obstacle or just on the floor next to it. Once you've done that, aim away, switch to your RPG, and then aim and shoot. And if the action's done fast enough, you'll end them pretty quickly. Homing launcher missiles do shoot faster than RPGs, but in this case you really do want to shoot it before it locks onto something else like a police car. Number 82. Squeezing the trigger to hip aim. A little tip for third person shooters: some people just hate to use first person mode, and honestly I can understand you, up to a certain level. First person can feel jittery and clunky at the best of times, but if you have your sniper out in third person, you can squeeze the shoot button gently to have your character bring up an aim in reticle. And honestly, it's not half bad either. It will take some skill to pull something off in this method. You won't have as much accuracy as you would with somebody in first person, but if you want to spice up your combat play, it's definitely a unique way to do so. Number 83. Triple tapping the swap weapon button. If you triple tap the weapon wheel button, so if you're on PlayStation, L1, you can instantly shoot other weapons without a cooldown. For example, the grenade launcher. The atomizer. But there are some weapons it doesn't work for example the musket. So instead for that, you use the spam method. You shoot, switch to another weapon, and then switch back to it. It's a perfect opportunity for you to have the upper hand on somebody else. Grenade launch spamming against walls is still faster than using the other alternative, but there aren't always walls everywhere you go. Number 84. Spamming snacks while in getaways. This method is mainly suggested for NPC combat, but it can also be used for player combat in certain situations. Having your snacks menu open while you're in a vehicle or about to get in one is a good idea for you not to get shredded straight away. For example, getting inside planes can take horrendously long sometimes, and you'd always have enemies shooting you, especially if you're trying to be quick at it. Also, if you're getting chased down by them as well, like when you're driving a really bad car in a certain type of mission. And the same definitely goes for the police as well. Number 85. Avoid sprinting in gunfights. When you're in an intense combat situation, it's best to avoid sprinting as much as possible. I mean, you can sprint, but only recommend doing it when they're not in your sight. Expand your map and just check your surroundings and see if it's safe to do so. The reason I don't recommend this is because, well, you're gonna die. Sprinting will have you easily locked onto, and there are some weapons on this game, such as the marksman rifle and the musket, which can auto lock onto you from impressive ranges. Rolling is better than running by any means, and as mentioned in my last video, always roll second if you can, and not first. Number 86. Free aiming with a scramjet. The scramjet is such a fun vehicle to fly, and I could tell you something else as well, it's also a bleeding blast of free aim. So there are multiple ways you can practice with this. First things first, you can either do this in first person, or the first person vehicle HUD switch to on. Once you've done so, you need to make sure of a few things first. Make sure the scramjet is on an even surface. Anything wonky will make this harder for you. Secondly, check where they are on the map and memorise that road they're on. Then jump, boost in the air, switch to first person, and then gently take your time, and then shoot the target. This will take a lot of practice, and I only recommend doing this if you're on foot, but otherwise it's a fun way to take them out. Number 87. Having a bounty on you is quite beneficial. Having a bounty on you can actually make your combat life a bit easier. When you get into a vehicle such as a tank or a Deluxo, they can't see that you're inside of it, because the bounty blip covers any vehicle blip on the map. This also works when you start the headhunter mission too, but the reason why I recommend bounties is because they last longer. If you do want a bounty, just steal a bunch of cars until you get one on you. Or you can just ask somebody to put one on you. This tip is only useful if you aren't going to die quickly. It's a unique way to surprise and attack them in any vehicle. Number 88. The terabyte missile method. A new form of combat is using the terabyte missiles. This is a good way to counter ground targets at a distance, and now thanks to the stealth mode feature you can buy at your Garmin factory, it's even better. When you're driving the terabyte, they will see you on the map, but the moment you're parked perfectly still is the moment you can get to town on those pesky griefers. You can also use the drone station too, if you're feeling extra generous. But hey, between me and you, if you do counter somebody doing this who's a griefer, just flip them over with the atomizer, then they can't do jack. Number 89. Use the APC backwards in combat. The APC is the most perfect little beast going, as mentioned in a lot of my previous videos, but when you're using the APC, make sure you're facing backwards towards the enemy, because that side of the APC has no windows they can shoot through. Everybody knows that when you drive the APC alone, you do need to stop to use the gun, but when you do, make sure your sexy backside is facing towards the enemy for an increased chance of taking them down. And if they're in a vehicle, then facing anyway is fine, because the chances of you taking them out are quite high in that respect. Number 90. Stone Hatchet kills. Using the stone hatchet to get kills usually isn't recommended unless you're in a close combat situation. But here is where things get interesting. If you melee kill a pedestrian right before you're about to face combat with a real player, you'll be granted with an extremely high damage resistance boost, which will give you a massive chance to take down the enemy. You'll have to do this pretty quick though. There are times where they can just take you out before you even get the chance to do it. But if you are around a different corner to them, then you do have a chance. But this method definitely isn't recommended in highly open areas. Number 91. Use cover for countering oppressors in vehicles. When a Harry Potter Mark II is chasing you sometimes, it can be tricky to lock onto them in your weaponized vehicle. And one of the best options for this is, get them in a close-spaced area. If they're willing to follow you in areas, such as tunnels, then you've hit the jackpot because they just expose themselves for you massively. Vehicles like the Torrado are the best for this because they can take a few rockets and they also don't see a Torrado blip on the map. Number 92. Use out of sight for deep breathing. This is a very simple combat idea, but using out of sight just to get yourself together is highly recommended.
Okay, give me a few seconds and they won't be able to see you.
Out of sight gives you a large portion of the map where you can hide for an infinite amount of time, unless you kill somebody of course, and then that will get taken away from you. Doing this will allow you to plan your next combat move, like requesting certain vehicles or buy more ammo. Most griefers would only use ghost and off radar. Not too many of them do use out of sight, and honestly I must admit it's my favourite out of the three. Number 93. Using the minigun at long range. The minigun, although not so mini, has a very impressive range on it. You can shred enemies from quite the distance with it, and if they're pretty persistent running towards you all the time, then this is definitely a good way to slap them back. When you're doing this, I do recommend doing this in third person, as you have a better option to zoom in. You can't move left and right quick with the minigun anyway, so the difference here isn't too much. And the recoil is about the same in both perspectives. Number 94. Switching to the marksman after sniping. Sometimes in GTA there will be times where you snipe somebody pretty good, and for some whatever reason they still won't die. Well, if you do snipe them, and you know their health is low, then switching to the marksman rifle to finish them off is not a bad shout. Having the zoom scope on the marksman rifle will help you with free aim ranges, and this is the way I recommend. But if you don't have a scope, then your lock on aim will be limited. Number 95. Fight how you want, not them. Lastly, griefers are a special type of breed. If they start texting you saying that you're a wimp for only using a certain weapon or vehicle, then screw them. It doesn't matter how you fight against a griefer because the challenge here isn't necessarily getting the most skillful kills on them. The challenge here is to make them break their controller and rage quit, so the public lobby is a better place. You can play how you want and you can use what you want, and honestly, that's the best decision. But it's definitely a good idea to get better in every weapon in your custom loadout, so you're not just depending on one weapon all the time, because not all weapons are good in every situation. Well, there we have it. We've concluded the 5th part of combat tips, adding us up to 95 in total. If you want to check out the other combat videos, then I will leave a quick link at the end of this video. And most of all, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.